Hello, everyone, and welcome to Local Music Somewhere here on rBeatz.com. Thanks for tuning in again. Have a special guest. You know, I always have a special guest in the studio. Today, it's somebody I've actually known of for about 3 years, but we actually just met today, and it's great to have her in the studio. She is a singer, a songwriter. She's been on so many different news outlets lately about a story that we'll touch on a little bit later in the program. But she's a national recording artist who was discovered by Dolly Parton's producer, Kent Wells, and she's performed the National Anthem at sporting events and NASCAR, which we know goes hand in hand with country. Welcome to the studio, Bailey Marie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's so great to have you in the studio. So you are a country artist, and of course you have original songs, you have projects out, you travel a lot and sing at different places. You're also an actress, and we'll talk about that, a little bit later in the program. But you started your musical journey really, really, really young.
Yeah.
I think it was like, 10 years old?
Yeah, I professionally started singing when I was 10. That's
so
right.
How did you even get started at 10?
Yeah, so it kind of started even before that. I did a lot of musical theater. And so I was like a theater kid, and I started doing acting classes, and I didn't even know I wanted to be a singer. It never like crossed my mind that, I could actually be a professional singer. But I started doing acting classes, and then I was like, actually, I want to see if I can try singing. And, I did singing classes, and it's funny because me and my mom, my dad, we went to New York City for my birthday one year. And my mom saw that the Apollo Theater was having their auditions for the Amateur Night at the Apollo. And so she submitted this one little video. It was like the only video she had of me singing this super country song. She submitted it, and for some reason they were like, we would love to have you. And so I went out there and I performed at the Apollo, and it was really great. That's kind of what jump-started it all. And I've been back like 5 times ever since.
That's a big and scary stage for you to start off on.
I know, it was
that
terrifying.
Young, so that's great. Jump into the water situation there. So, how did you like that? I mean, what was the experience like being so young and making that happen?
Yeah, I feel like whenever I first went, I was super terrified because I've never done anything like that before. But whenever I finally got out there, everybody was really, really supportive, and it was just a really good environment. And the last time I went out there, I like sharing this story because it's really crazy how it happened. But I walked out there, and I was kind of nervous, but I wasn't like extremely nervous just because I've been there 4 times prior. And as soon as I touched the microphone, all of my nerves went away, and it was just like a fun time. And
that's great.
And so, yeah, what was crazy was the first time I went out there and I performed, I had 102 fever the night before, and I was in the emergency room, and I had like a double ear infection. It was horrible, but I still made it work somehow, and it was really fun. So
well, and that's the very beginning of your journey, and you're still so young. And the music industry, you already know how that works, is you just keep pressing on. So many people quit way too early,
right?
But you keep pressing on. You don't start off perfect. Eventually you learn to songwrite, and even your songwriting doesn't start off perfect.
Not at all.
It's great if you can get help, in the beginning, but a lot of people, don't in the very beginning. I'm a big believer in co-writes, especially with the young developing artist. And then you go through this journey where you keep putting stuff out, you keep putting, and you build this catalog, and eventually, you have that thing that stands out, and your image morphs into what it needs to be, and all of those things that happen. And you're still so young. I mean, you're still in high school.
Yeah.
And so you're at the beginning of your journey, and you have some great things ahead of you. Who were the biggest musical influences that got you started, caused you to really love this?
I think that whenever I first started, this is kind of a funny story. I hated country music, and I would not listen to it, and I would not sing it. My sisters actually were like the biggest country fans, and they would go on like 4-wheelers and like go mudding and all of that. And I was like, ew, no, I'm not that. I want to go to Los Angeles and become a pop artist. But everybody knew that wasn't who I was going to be. And everybody continued to tell me like, she's going to change. And I was like, no, I'm not. A year later, I started doing country music. And I think for me, some of the biggest influences for me now is definitely like Kelly Clarkson. I really admire how she can sing literally whatever.
Yes.
Let's see. I love Lainey Wilson. I sing so many of her songs. So I would say those two are Adele. I love Adele. She's not country and she's one of the pop people, but I love singing her stuff. So
Well, it sounds like you like power singing females.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I was trying to pick some people that were, females and closer to, my realm of music. But I would say I listen to, this is crazy because I said Lainey Wilson and I love Riley Green and Bailey Zimmerman. And it's crazy how I'm literally going to be performing with them in like a couple months.
Yeah.
And so
that came out of nowhere. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that came out of nowhere. And so that's just to be able to be on stage, in the same vicinity as influencers,
Yeah.
The people that have influenced you is pretty great. But how did you get the attention of Kent Wells, who's, I guess one of the things he's best known for is he produced Dolly Parton's, I believe it's the Better Day album, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he's kind of been Dolly's producer for forever.
Yeah,
And
I just think that was one of the standouts for sure. So how did you two come into contact?
Yeah, so whenever I first started, I was traveling out to Los Angeles and I was working with a producer out there, Andrew Lane. But whenever COVID hit, I couldn't travel out there anymore. So I was kind of stuck at home, just kind of, posting on social media. And that's kind of where Kent found me. We kind of hooked up through social media. And I remember we had a Zoom call and I'd never been to Nashville before. And so I went out to Nashville. I had a meeting with them and I loved everything that they were doing. And I loved Kent and I loved all of his production. And so as soon as I met them, I was like, okay, I want to do production with them because they're amazing people and Kent's an amazing person. And so yeah, that's kind of how we got hooked up and it's been that way ever since.
Wow, that's very cool. And so with Nashville, what was the vibe like? First of all, I can't believe it's been that recent. I thought it was much longer ago that you had been in Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess that's about the right time frame. But what was your experience like in Nashville first time?
I think the first time that I went to Nashville, it was like very much more like home because I was so used to the scenery of California, which is completely different than North Carolina. And I mean, I liked it, but whenever I went out to Nashville, it was like, kind of more laid back, especially in like the outskirts of not downtown and, all of that, which I really loved because I love seeing all of the beautiful like horses out there and the scenery was really cool. And I just felt like it was more like home.
Well, and country music, it's always been known for being a family scene.
Yeah.
And it really is. Like, I've known so many artists over the years, and they don't change as much when they grow into, the artist that they're growing into. They're still those people, very family-oriented, and you have such great conversations on the back of the buses and, stuff about home and things like that. So I think that's a great ground for you to get started. How many projects have you done so far?
I think like original songs that I have over 70 original songs that I've written myself and also co-written with people. I have a lot of fully produced songs, but I've kind of just been working on writing songs and not really putting much songs out. But I have like 20 fully produced songs.
Wow, that many already.
Yeah. But I have so much more just writing and I'm continuing to write. I go out to Nashville every month and I continue to write with other people. So
have you been working with people on actual performance? Because something that I've noticed about you that's great to see in somebody so young is, of course, you play with your band, you have a great band, and then you'll have these acoustic things that you do. And even if it's an acoustic performance with the band, you have a great way of emoting with the songs. Is that something that's carried over from maybe musical theater, or is it something they've really worked with you on in Nashville? Because artists, that listen to the program, they think they have to start off being perfect, in that, and it's not the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I think for me, whenever I kind of first started singing, I was really super shy. I actually ended up having to, like, the girl I was and the girl I am now is like two totally different people. You wouldn't even notice that I'm the same person if we put them side by side. And I feel like music kind of really helped me come out of my shell a little bit. And I think musical theater definitely helped, the stage presence and, relating to the song. But I also feel like, the scenery around you can help a lot because, if you're singing somewhere that you don't really that you're not really feeling the vibe is right, then, I don't feel like you can relate to the song and like connect to the song as well. But if you're singing somewhere, that's super supportive and there's a lot of people and the vibe's just right, I feel like it helps you relate to the song more.
It does, especially if you're remembering that's the audience that it's about. And when you get up and perform, just knowing what they did just to get there, to see you perform, and you put that focus on them, and they love, of course, when you put the focus on them, and they reward you by serving up the applause. And when I have seen you perform, it has definitely been that. It's like you are in the moment. You're not thinking about the 20 things that you have to do after you get off stage. You're right there, and you're in the moment with those people. Who else have you been working with?
I think I have to first off start off by saying the guy that literally has been with me my entire music journey. His name's David Ryan. And I mean, me and him have such a good, it's like a best friend in the music industry, just because I've been working with him ever since I was like 8 years old. And the song that I was saying we submitted to the Apollo the very first time was actually, he did that song and he recorded it for me.
So he's been with you that long.
Yeah. And so he had taught me to play guitar. Me and him have wrote some really good songs. One of my favorite songs me and him wrote together. And so I'd have to say he's been like one of the biggest helps. Another person I kind of want to shout out is Bo Stroop. He was the first really vocal coach I ever worked with. And I mean, I still talk to him to this day. And, he's just a really good connection that I have. Whenever I was out in California last summer, I can't really say what it was for, but I remember me and my mom, we did a FaceTime call with him, and we stayed on the call with him for like an hour and a half, just talking about everything, just, kind of just getting through the day. And I would say he's been a really good in my music career as well. And of course, Kent Wells, Andrew Lane. Yeah, all of those people have been really awesome.
And what has your year consisted of as far as not recordings, but live events so far?
Yeah, I mean, starting off strong this year, I played at Amos South End back in January. And then, I played at Goldie's.
Which Goldie's is one of the new great places to try to get in. I was surprised I had seen you there so soon.
Yeah, it was really crazy because I never have played there before. And whenever I showed up, I wasn't really expecting how amazing it was, just because, it was new. And I know
primarily a rock place, I think. Yeah.
And I also don't know how people are going to take like me, being so young and being a female artist, but it was really amazing. The crowd was awesome. I got Coyote Joe's coming up, which I'm super excited about. That's going to be August 9th.
That's a legendary staple of Charlotte, for sure.
That was insane whenever I booked there. I remember whenever I got told I was booking there, I was like, are you serious? Because like I have grown up and, I have older sisters, and they would always say, hey, you're going to Coyote Joe's, and like talking to their friends, and like me being able to perform there is like really great. And then we got the Field and Stream Festival out in October.
We're definitely going to touch on that one towards the end of our interview today. And you're not just a singer-songwriter, although that's a great thing in itself. There's a lot to do there. And you've done that very well. I mean, you've really focused and making your writing great. And you've really focused at how we talked about getting the right performance out of your voice, emoting properly during the song, and touching base with the audience with that. But you're also an actor.
Right.
And first of all, what type of things have you done so far?
In acting? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said before, I started acting before anything. And so I started acting classes when I was like 9. And I did some, shows for like, I was a backup and I was kind of just like an extra. I feel like one of the biggest shows that I've been in, the first one that I really hit was Swagger, which is on Apple TV. And I actually had a singing role in that show.
Oh, that's fair.
And so I played.
I'm aware of that show.
Yeah, Marianne. I played her, and it was such a cool experience. I feel like being on set is like so like surreal and just cool, and that's like the only way I can describe it, because I'm just this girl from North Carolina, and then I'm out here going to Atlanta and filming on these sets and stuff. And so I feel like that one was like a really big kind of launch for me. And then I found my acting manager from that, and then From there, I actually booked a TV show on HBO Max called Staircase. And that was so fun to film. I remember it was me and my mom. We went out to Atlanta and we filmed that. And I play a girl named Ashley. And it was just really fun. And seeing everything come together and then being able to actually watch the show is just really great.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I know with so many artists, especially today, acting has helped their branding and the other things they're doing. It's great social proof, number one. It shows you're doing things. But it also, helps cross-brand you, and people that have developed acting careers, they draw more than, the people that are just doing the music thing only.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they go hand in hand with each other.
They
can
do.
help both each other out.
If it's the right artist. I've seen some that's not the right artist. But when you have an artist, first of all, you have the background for it. But the other thing is you have that. I know people call it the it factor, but I think it's more complicated than that. You have the understanding of the facial expressions, and you have the understanding of the, like we said, the emotion that has to come out, but also the presence. And that presence has to be on stage to make you memorable as an artist,
right, and
to make you memorable as a brand. And that's why you've kept people's attention on social media for quite a while now. I mean, you started that pretty young as well. And I've like I said, I've known of you at least 3 years from that alone. And we actually, at the end of this program, we're going to be able to hear you perform a couple of songs.
Yep.
And so when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. And we come back, I want to touch on a situation that you've recently been in the news for.
Yeah.
And then talk about a very important event that came as a result of that. So we'll be right back after this.
Hey there, I'm Annalise, host of What's Trending Now on rBeatz.com, bringing you this week's DJ World Beats hottest trending bangers on rBeatz Radio and Media Streaming Network. Let's get right into it. Coming to Black Box Theater, DJ and musician rBeatz is performing live August 9th. Doors open at 10 p.m. You can get your tickets at blackboxcharlotte.com. If you're a fan of Chapel Roan like me, the Fillmore is hosting an event called Club 90s Chapel Roan Night on Saturday, September 7th. Doors open at 10 p.m. You can get your tickets at livenation.com. Fab Fest, Charlotte's Beatles Festival, presented by Tosco Music, is being held Friday, October 4th for performances, raffles, and silent auctions at 7:30 p.m. And on Saturday, October 5th, for an open mic night, cover song contest, and many more at 10 a.m. through 5 p.m. You can learn more at fabfestcharlotte.org. Spinning now on 258366, our global pop stream, DJ World Beats brings you Jungle Baller by 6 p.m. Records, Sky Ague, Holland 93.6, and Sierra. Music is Better by Rufus Du Sol, and a new song from rBeatz' favorite, Steve Aoki, called 3 Days Hydro Energy Remix, featuring Kalan, FRFR. Trending now on We Global Radio, we have Life Heffa Nice by Taurus Riley and DJ Fraz, Little Bums with Gutta Baby featuring Rowdy Rax and C, and we have Two by Gavona and Popcan, Saved by Psalm and Walmart, Brunk Off It by Moyan, Beka and DJ Fraz, and then Authentic by Matt Monaco. That concludes this week's countdown. Be sure to check back for what's trending on the local, national, and international music scene on rBeatz.com.
Radios. They've come a long way from static-filled broadcasts to crystal-clear streaming, and we're here for it. From the golden days of radio shows to today's seamless streaming, radios have evolved like never before. Meet rBeatz, the internet radio that brings you a grand assortment of music genres right at your fingertips. Love discovering new artists? rBeatz has exclusive interviews and local music just for you. Say goodbye to the past and hello to the ultimate listening experience. Check out rBeatz and revolutionize your music journey today. Remember the crackling sounds of old radios? Those days are long gone. With rBeatz, enjoy crystal clear streaming, new artist interviews, and local music all in one place. Don't miss out. dive into the future of music with rBeatz now.
Welcome back to Local Music Somewhere. I'm your host, Terry Hudson, here on rBeatz.com. And on Local Music Somewhere, of course, we cover both local artists and people that are on the national scene that inspire the local artists. So artists and fans have something to tune into here. Guest today is kind of a little bit of both. She's local to the studio here, but she's traveled as a national artist, and her songs have been out everywhere. And her name is Bailey Marie. And she's been all over the news outlets for something that we're just going to touch on here. And Bailey, I'm going to let you just lead into it. Just tell us what happened and why you've been on the news, and then we'll roll from there.
Yeah, so kind of to start it off, I'll just kind of say it. I got kicked out of my school for, being a singer and performing in places that serve alcohol. And kind of what happened is I was at the beach, and my mom got an email from the school basically saying that I'm not allowed to go back there just because I sing in places that serve alcohol, even though I've been attending the school for 6 years.
And just about every restaurant serves alcohol now.
Right. And so I have been doing it for as long as I can remember, but it was kind of a shock because they're having a problem with it just now. But yeah, and my mom ended up posting about it on her personal private Facebook, and everybody was kind of going crazy over it. And then the Gaston Gazette kind of reached out, and they did a story on it. And then I think every news station did a story on it.
I saw you on everything.
Yeah, and then it kind of blew up from there. And so I remember that whole week that everything was like really, really blown up. I did a news interview, I think like every day, maybe even twice a day. And so I remember my mom, I was doing something. She said, I really did a deep dive in how many people did articles, and like, it's amazing how many people like have heard about this. But I mean, I do want to put it out there. We did not expect for it to happen at all. Like, it wasn't for,
I know you.
yeah, it wasn't for publicity. It wasn't for anything like that. I mean, it was just very out of the blue. And
it was kind of unwanted publicity at first for
very.
you, because of course you want publicity as an artist, but that's not the publicity you wanted at the time. And I could tell you were getting interview tired, and so I was like, Bailey, I have this show, and I know we've known each other through Facebook this while, but I'm not hearing as many people talk about you as an artist. They're all talking about this. I have a music show. Let's come on. Let's talk about you as an artist. We'll touch on this, but let's talk about who you really are.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, though, I went back and I watched a few interviews, and something that I saw that really impressed me about you is that you did not slam the school.
Yeah.
And I think everybody was trying to bait you. It seemed like, I'm not talking bad about the news anchors, because they're good and they're doing their job, and they were covering you and giving you great publicity, which led to some great things we'll talk about. But everybody, there were people at home, and you see them on the comments on different feeds. They wanted you to slam, and you didn't. That takes so much courage as an artist. I
feel like I didn't get a chance to look at every comment under everything, because I mean, I feel like it's impossible. But yeah, but I feel like every comment that I did look at, a lot of people were being extremely supportive. And also, I feel like people are kind of, they take the situation and they made it so much, and but it's also, it's really supportive and everything. But I feel like for me, I didn't need to slam the school for anything. I mean,
no, they had a policy.
I mean, and my friends are still going to continue to go there, and people are still going to continue to go there, and I'm just not, and I'm going to have to move on with everything. I mean, I was really, really hurt at the time. And I remember my mom, when she got the email, she called me because we were at the beach, and it was like the first day of our beach trip, which kind of like sucked the rest of the beach trip. But I was playing ping pong, and she called me and she said, I need you to come back because we need to talk about something. And she took me on the golf cart, And she didn't even know how to tell me, because I was so excited for my senior year there, and like with my best friend. And I'm sure all of the news put this in there, but I was the captain of the cheer team, and like I was just extremely excited. And whenever I read the email, I started literally crying. And like first person I called was my best friend, and second person was the cheer coach, just because like I was extremely excited. And I mean, just because they told me I can't go back there, I mean, do I think the situation was handled, the best it could? Probably not. But again, it's not really something that I need to bash them about. I mean, I hope that they do good things, and I hope that my friends have a really good senior year, and I hope that everybody, does good stuff there. So.
And again, of course, I grew up a preacher's son, and I'm a Christian myself. And looking at this, to me, the whole point would be going into places where people would need that light. And
Right.
I'll even touch on that in a moment. But with God, in our lives, and we feel that he would be in control, you just didn't have that. You had some fear because, it brought you to tears. It was very disappointing. But you knew, what's that old adage, when God closes a door, he opens a window, or whatever it is, and you hear these preachers that say a setback is a setup for a comeback. But it really is true. I mean, those things happen. They're beyond our control. And when we have patience and watch how something like that, can transition into other things. First of all, when it comes to being that light, in the places you play, because you go in there and you bring great lyrics and music to people, but you bring you to people, and you have been a light. Like, I've watched you. Something I learned when I was actually doing a lecture on grief, and I noticed when I was studying that I found that the way your eyes adjust to light, and when you go out from your house, let's say you're leaving your house and it's completely dark outside, and you've been in the light. If you walk outside, of course, you will trip and fall because you can't see anything, right? So what they suggest, the way your eye adjusts, is you're supposed to cut off the light for about 5, sometimes 10 minutes. And then when you walk outside, your eye is looking for little particles of light. And that's how you see through the darkness.
Yeah.
And there are people that are at your shows, and they are walking in such darkness, whether it's been something that happened to them as a child, something that other people did to them, very disappointing things that happen, losing their job, whatever it is. They walk in there and they're looking for those little particles of light, something that helps them navigate the darkness better. And when you can be that light, and you can be it in the right way, you not only help them navigate in the darkness, but you also help them eventually walk into light,
Right.
where their lives change. And music does have that power. And of course, your presence has that power. It's way more than lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
It's even way more than the music. It's the person that's bringing that out. And I think you've done that. And so I think it's great that you're in these places.
Yeah, I know that one thing that people were really concerned about throughout this whole situation is like, oh, what is this relation do? What is this doing with her relationship with God? Like, is she turning her back on God? And I feel like throughout the whole thing, I have actually gotten closer with my relationship with God, just because I saw how he took a bad situation and turned it into something really good. And it also helped that this happened one week, and I went off and I went to a camp, and I didn't have my phone, and so I didn't get all of the notifications and all of that, and I was really just working on my relationship with God. And that whole time, I mean, I feel like now it's been closer than ever. And so, I mean, I feel like for the people that are worried that this is a slander with my relationship with God, that's not true at all.
No, it's not true. And what a lot of people don't know is, for instance, the gospel music industry. These kids that grew up driving their parents' gospel bus or their family gospel bus, they're actually the bus drivers for these big tours now. And Hemphill Coaching, which was the first big coaching company that all these tours use, those were brothers that were from a gospel music family. And so how that happens. And there's so much. There are Bible studies and things like that go on the back of buses. I've seen it so much in Christian music. And you going into a family atmosphere like that, you will do great things because you have the resilience and you walked through some things. And that door that is open in this situation has been something that we touched on a little bit earlier, but something that came out of nowhere
Yeah.
for you. I was shocked when I saw it. I saw these stories happening with this situation, and then the news came back in
Yeah.
to say, hey, by the way, the person that we were covering, this local artist or this young artist, something else has happened,
Mm-hmm.
and that is that you got added to the amazing Field and Stream Music Festival. I'm not sure what the website is. We'll have to, if we can find that, if we can put it up. But I think it's Field and Stream Music. Is it festival.com maybe?
I couldn't tell you.
Or maybe it's just Field and Stream Music festival.com. Maybe it is that. If not,
sure it's all
we'll
over
find
social
the
media,
right
so.
we'll find the right link and put that up. So tell us about that festival and how that came about.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I found out that I was going to be performing at Field and Stream, I thought it was like, I was going to be put on, because I really am very humble when I come to stuff like this. And I really was thought that I was going to be on one of like the smaller stages, on a stage that nobody really knows about. But as soon as they sent me like a whole press release saying like Bailey is singing with Lainey Wilson and Eric Church, I was like, oh my gosh. Just because
I saw your picture on the poster.
Yeah.
With these guys and ZZ Top and Leonard Skinner and all these.
My name is under all of these people. And I was like, there is no way this is real right now. And I feel like whenever I posted this on social media, everybody else saw the same thing, because everything was so like swarmed with me getting kicked out of school and whatever, and news articles. And then I post this and everybody's like, oh my gosh, like this is so, like, I mean, there is no other scenario than, it's so God-given, because
Absolutely.
I mean, it was such a bad situation and then it turned to good, because I remember I got connected with some of the people from Field and Stream a couple of months ago, and we really didn't hear anything much, and then they said, hey, we heard your story and we think that you would be great. And I was like, really? And so, I mean, I feel like I've never really had a story, because I grew up, I have my mom and my dad, and
Very
my
supportive
family is I have a really, really
shout out to
supportive,
them too.
Yeah. Dad, if you're watching, I know you are. Mom, you're probably watching too. So I never had a story that was, anything other than good. But I feel like this now is my story. It took a bad situation and made it good, which I'm extremely excited about.
I believe a lot more good is going to come out of it.
And so just being able to post that, like, I'm going to be performing with all of these people that I look up to is like insane.
Yeah. And to the people that are doing this festival, just absolute hats off to you and bringing this young artist on. Yeah.
I know all of the people that have talked about me, including the people from the festival. They have been so nice, and like I'm just so thankful that they have enough support in me and have enough faith in me that I'm going to do good at this. So yeah.
You're going to do great, and everybody watch out for this artist, Bailey Marie, and I love watching what's happening to you.
Thank you.
So glad to see it. And when we come back, are you ready to perform?
Yeah.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to hear a performance of a couple of songs from Bailey Marie. Thank you very much for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I turn them off.
The first one's Hit and Run, right? All right, this first one I'm going to do is called Hit and Run. And this one's one of my favorites. I wrote it out in Nashville. And so this one's called Hit and Run. 7 o'clock on a Friday night, I was waiting outside when you pulled into the drive in that red Chevrolet truck with them Casey lights lit up. I climbed inside, you pulled me close, said if you don't mind, let's take things slow. You told me that would be fine as your hand was sliding down my thigh. Don't think you're gonna take me out, spin me around, lay me down. 'Cause my mama didn't raise no fool. Daddy taught me about boys like you. Don't lie and try to use those eyes, hoping we'll collide tonight. If that's what you're looking for, boy, I ain't the one. That may have worked on other girls, but I ain't no hit and run. I buckled up, said let's go for a ride. We drove all past the county line. You couldn't hide what you had in mind. I knew what you were trying to do. 'Cause my mama didn't raise no fool. Daddy taught me about boys like you. Don't lie and try to use those eyes, hoping we'll collide tonight. If that's what you're looking for, boy, I ain't the one. That may have worked on other girls, but I ain't no hit and run. And I've had enough, just let me out. I'll find my way back into town. You're acting like you care now. You never did anyhow. 'Cause my mama didn't raise no fool. Daddy taught me about boys like you. Don't lie, try to use those eyes, hoping we'll collide tonight. That's what you're looking for, boy, I ain't the one. That may have worked on other girls, but I ain't no hit and run. No, ain't no hit and run. Ain't no hit and run. Alright, am I good for the other one? Alright. This one's really special to me. This one's called Beautifully Broken, and it's actually out on all streaming platforms, and it's kind of like my life anthem. And so you might have heard it on 96.9 The Cat recently. And so this is one that I wrote with David Ryan. This one's called Beautifully Broken. With fire, you will get burned. But I wanna go higher and touch the sun. All I've been through, I wanted to tell you. I'm taking my life and I'm moving on. Not waving my white flag, 'cause I'm strong. I know what I started. So wake me up when it's all through. I'm beautifully broken, eyes are wide open. I'm shattered within, but I'll take what I get on my own. Beautifully broken, eyes are wide open. I'm shattered within, but I'll take what I get on my own. Beautifully broken. The pieces around me I'm picking up. This battle has made me a warrior. I'm slaying my demons and losing all feeling. So wake me up when it's all through. I'm beautifully broken, eyes are wide open. I'm shattered within, but I'll take what I get on my own. Beautifully broken, eyes are wide open. I'm shattered within, but I'll take what I get on my own. Beautifully broken, beautifully broken. I'm beautifully broken, beautifully broken.